Hi, and thanks for joining us for Rental Karma On Air. Rental Karma On Air is brought to you by Rental Karma, where good renters deserve good credit. Check it out at rentalkarma.com, and that's spelled KHARMA.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back again to another episode of the Rental Karma Podcast with your hosts, Wendy Massengale. Hello, Wendy.
Hello.
And Cullen Canizars. We are with Rental Karma, and we are here today to make your life a bit better. Not by making it complicated, but by making it easy. Pretty much easy so that you can understand there's an easy way out there for most things if you just know how to go about it. And it's not a shortcut. It's just knowing what to do, right? And most importantly, what not to do. And I think what today's topic will be a bit more about what not to do than what. Well, there'll be some to do in there as well. But what we're going to talk about is this little thing that everyone has one. When I say everyone, well, let's just say 90%. I don't know. Most Americans have a smartphone. Most of the people in the world have a smartphone, which means that there's companies that build phones, and there's companies that sells phones, and there's companies that sell the service to use the phone on.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably some insurance companies that will even sell you insurance in case something happens to your phone. What else am I missing in this landscape that I can't think of? And there's a big landfill somewhere on Earth with all of your old cell phones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've got drawers and drawers at the house of my old ones, just because this.
And you can recycle them and everything else. I think people don't because they're like, oh, my information's on there.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't really know how to properly get rid of it out of there. And it's only it should tell you a lot that your cell phone that you had for 2 or 3 years that still works, still gets the internet, still makes phone calls, somehow is old and worthless after a couple of years. Think about it like that. Could you imagine if you go to the car dealer and you buy a new car and after 3 years you're like, throw it in the drawer.
Yep. It's garbage piece of garbage now.
God, I never thought about it that way. And I've heard more than one person, Wendy, say, I got a drawer full of them.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do with them. You didn't take them to the Goodwill with all that stuff you went down there?
Well, no, honestly, my concern is because data is never completely deleted. It's never like the only way to get rid of really delete a hard drive is to take a screwdriver to the hard drive. Like that's the only way to make sure your data is deleted, because there is software that can always restore anything. So personally, I'm a little paranoid that my banking information or something's going to be stuck on that cell phone. So what I use them for is I take them to the lake, and so if I drop that phone into the water while I'm listening to music, well, it's just one of my lake phones.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
So I use them as MP3 players.
Okay.
I'm a MacGyver
of
dead technology.
Yeah. So, wow. So what do we know? We don't have to go do a history lesson. We all know what landlines and the first text and all that stuff. But today, let's just start from today. What the heck is out there today? I have Cricket. I'll start there. Okay. I'm on a month-to-month plan, and I paid for my phone with an Apple credit card that they gave me the deal of 0 interest to use to get the phone. Yeah. That's what I did. Not sure that was a bright thing. I'm not proud of it, and I tell you, I miss my Android.
Yeah, I like my Android. But no, I mean, really, these days, pretty much there's hundreds of cell phone carriers. Most people are familiar with Verizon, T-Mobile, things like that. But you've got Cricket. I have something called Google Fi. It runs off of T-Mobile towers. It's not the best by any means, but in my service area because I don't have good T-Mobile service. But I mean, it's relatively cheap. Now a lot of the places like those smaller carriers, you're not going to get those get a free phone or things like that whenever you get sign up for the service. You might get discounts and things like that, but you're not actually getting offers for a free phone. You're like, golly, why? Well, because those phones are actually free that they're advertising. So like they don't offer those deals because they aren't overcharging people to make those deals. So like you'll see like some phone services, they'll have like get a free phone or device or a free phone, tablet, watch, blah, blah, blah with trade-in, with new service. And so like I have this like really like, it looks like a really awesome deal. And like, oh, wow, I can get a brand new iPhone or no, there was I'll go through all the numbers here in a minute. But there's like a Samsung phone, Samsung tablet, and a Samsung watch for free. It's so free. No, it's not. No, it's not. Pretty much these situations, if you ever see this, you're like, oh, that's a good deal. Those are red flags. Because what a lot of the times, what these places want is they want you to trade in your old device, which is all well and good. But think about it like this. You've already paid for that phone. And so now you are literally turning it in to get up to a certain amount of credit. Those free phone plans, they require a trade-in, and you only like when they say like $0, that's like the best case scenario that you traded in the brand newest of the new phones and they have like some resale capability on it. If they don't have it, you are going to have to pay in some manner for that phone. For example, Horizon Wireless, we'll call this carrier, a fake carrier called Horizon Wireless, for their free phone deal, they require a $90 a month phone plan just for the phone. They also require a $20 a month phone plan for the watch and a $20 a month phone plan for the tablet that you're all getting for free. And you have to sign a 3-year contract. Okay, so $140, 3 years. So you're signing a minimum before taxes, fees, surcharges, all that. You're at least going to have $140 phone bill for one line plus a watch and a tablet. Not for your wife or your husband or your children. Nobody, just you. And so you're going to spend $4,680 in cell phone service in 3 years. Just in cell phone service.
I seen a commercial with a famous actor for $15 a month. Bring your own phone or get one from them.
Yeah. And they run off of T-Mobile towers. So it's like
that one does?
Yeah. Because I actually am looking into that one to get it for myself.
That's called Mint, right?
Yep. Huh. And it's $15 a month for the first 3 months. Now, after those first 3 months, then I believe it goes to $25 a month. There's some fine line in that one too. No. Yeah, because I've been kind of looking myself because I need something that has Verizon towers, not to be confused with the state company.
You live in a rural area. That's kind of like the de facto carrier. You know why?
Why?
Did you ever heard the phrase "Ma Bell"?
It dings a bell, but the bell's not ringing.
The name. It's what we called it. That's what AT&T was called back in the 70s and 80s. Most people don't realize this, but AT&T used to be government owned, and then it was something like that. It was like the de facto phone system in the country. And then it got so big that in 1994 they passed this thing called the Telecommunications Act, and it made them split up into like 6 companies. That's why you ended up with Southwestern Bell, Bell South. Verizon was not before it became Verizon. It was New York, something that was up in the Northeast. But it covered like 15 states up there. And then you had Quest. Before it was Quest, it was US West. And they split them up to create competition because the cost of all this stuff was ridiculously high. And the irony is then after some of these years, companies like Verizon have then come back and started buying bits and pieces of other things around the country. But thankfully, there's still open access to the networks that make the possibility for these other less expensive alternatives.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, and like, okay, so like back to Horizon Wireless, with that $4,600 that you're paying in service fees, you still have to pay $600 for all the device protections because they require you to have insurance while you're getting those devices financed.
What?
So it's $612 in insurance for that 3-year period of time.
No.
Plus $105 in activation fees. So when you go out the door, like 3 years after you got your nice, cool, free cell phone and all that stuff, you've paid $5,397 total for service, activation, insurance, all for this stuff that was supposed to be free. I mean, of course, you are paying for the cell phone service, but again, that's $4,600 of that chunk. But after all of those little nickels and dimes and pennies that are all added up, you're paying like $5,300 just for like this really cool thing that's going to, like you said earlier, be outdated in 2 years before your contract's even over. There's a new model that's released, and they're going to try and get you on that one to trade your stuff in the next contract series.
And when people default on these, and they do, they usually don't go giving the phone back. Like the car gets repossessed, right?
Correct. And this just
your
goes
house
on
can get repossessed. And so they say, keep the phone, and we're just going to slap this thing on their credit for $800, $1,500. I've seen a lot of those collections on reports over the years that are cell phone company and internet access, your cable, your internet provider or what have you. Wow, insurance on that. That just that's painful. I can't believe that. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
See,
no,
every time we have with it, I walk away with at least one thing that I didn't know.
Yeah. No, I'm over here with scabs.
Frustrating.
Yeah, no, and especially like, okay, so all the cell towers in the United States are owned by 3 companies: AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. They own them all. So you can go to Cricket, Mint, Metro PCS, TracFone, pick a place.
Resellers of the same signal.
Exactly. All the exact same towers. And they have no contracts. You save on average, I looked at 5 different companies, and there was price differences between $5 a month and $20 a month for the exact same unlimited style plans. So like, for example, like Horizon Wireless versus Click-It Wireless. Horizon Wireless's cheapest unlimited plan is $75 a month. Click-It Wireless, their cheapest is $55 a month.
That's the one I have.
Yeah, so you're going to save almost $250 just in a year in cell phone bills to have the exact same service. Yes, during busy times, you may have a little bit of data slowdown. Heaven forbid you wait for your video to load. But the big savings are going to be worth it.
You know what? Really, we stop and think about this. This is like this is going to be on that show. This is uncomfortable. Because you just ripped out some of the dirty little secrets here, Wendy. Gosh dang it.
And I'm from the age that, like, you started a web page to load, you went and made a sandwich, you came back, the pictures may have loaded. So you go and you get you some chips and you come back, and then by the time you get done with your lunch, you can read the website. I don't mind waiting.
Don't most people have internet in their house?
Yeah, like Wi-Fi that you can connect to.
And but like, Wi-Fi is the term that is basically meaning that you have wireless internet in your house, that it comes from like Comcast or one of the high-speed internet providers, right? But when you have that, you don't even need to be using the data on your phone, because it's way faster to use the Wi-Fi. And I think how some of these companies are succeeding, the low-cost ones, is that they have the ability, I know, to throttle the speed of which your data gets to you.
Mhm.
And the reality is take for your drive home. I'm pretty sure Wendy doesn't watch videos when she drives home on that curvy road from the office all the way up to her house, because she'd probably kill 3 deer and 2 cows along the way. Okay. Every day. So she does it. So the point is she doesn't need the data, right? If her phone rings and the husband says, honey, will you get another thing of milk? Sure. You know, that's the purpose of the phone.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah.
So the reality is you don't need any of this other stuff at all. If you have your internet access at home, or your apartment community provides it to you, or, oh, by the way, the government has a low cost broadband initiative. If you live in a rural area, you can actually get it for cheaper. If you didn't know that.
Mhm.
Because the leaders of the country want everybody in America to have access to high speed internet, because one, it allows a lot more people to be accessible to work, right? Just think about it from that perspective. It is no way on earth, I don't feel, nobody walks up to me and goes, oh, I love your iPhone. It's so nice, Cullen.
Mhm. Or we can't be friends because you don't have Verizon. Like, people aren't friends with you because your cell phone.
Nobody cares.
No one literally cares.
Just ask yourself, is $5,000 good to spend there, or is that $5,000 better off in college fund for the kids?
Exactly.
So to be fair, you would spend a total of $5,000. If I have the discounted plan, let's just say even I pick the $25 plan somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
you can bring your own phone, right? And you can get a smartphone for $100, $200, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the math then? Okay, let's say $100. So 25 times 10 is 250. $300 a year times 3 years is $900 plus 100. Let's throw in 200 for your phone. $1,100 versus $5,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then also, like, we're kind of in our culture, unfortunately, right now is a little disposable. I mean, just look at the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Like, everything is just disposable. And so even though something works, it may just be simply replaced because there's something newer available. Like, for example, the iPhone. There is a brand new iPhone released every single September and has been since 2011. Okay. Every single September. And 44% of people in a Gallup poll said that they will upgrade that phone as soon as they are allowed to upgrade their phone through their carrier. So 44% of people will upgrade their phone every 2 years on average, just because their carrier allows it. So instead of keeping, that outdated phone, which works just fine, just because something new is available, they go ahead and get rid of it. So, like, say your phone is thrashed, right? Like, it dies all the time, the screen is cracked, things like that. So say it is that same Apple, or say it's that same iPhone. You can get a battery at the Apple store installed by an Apple associate for around $85, a little bit more, depending if it's a max battery. And this is on their website. You can get a new screen for between, like, it's $100 at a regular cell phone shop, or it's $280 if you go to the Apple store and get someone to install it. So if you got a new battery and a brand new screen installed at the Apple store, you're only looking at $365 back to newish on your phone. Like, that's a big bargain, as opposed to these phones are like $1,000. Like, they're $1,000.
You know what else is? If you don't watch, then most people would hear this in the news and just pay no attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a podcast episode the other day that was talking about the subject of these things, and I didn't know this, but Apple a while ago, or like a year ago, had to pay out a huge sum of money, $500 million ish, because they were intentionally updating the software. When the software updates would happen, you would slow your phone's performance down. And they call it like degradation. I can't remember what the word was, but it doesn't matter. But it was basically making you feel like, gosh, I don't know how many more miles I got left on this puppy, that feel like you got to go and do that. And I saw
Yeah.
one person in this story, they made comment that they were still using like an iPhone 6 or 7.
Mhm.
They're like, how do you do that? You know what the trick was?
I was gonna
Never
say,
upgrade the operating system.
I've got a show and tell for this. Okay,
Oh,
so, haha,
Exhibit 1.
Exhibit 1 and 2. These will be up on the screen, overlay on the screen. So, if you look at the original iPhone models, okay, the original iPhone models, September, let's see, the iPhone, let's just go ahead and start with the iPhone 3G, right? So the battery on those phones would last anywhere from like 3 years to 6 months to 3 years, right? As we got to the iPhone 5C, those batteries were lasting 2 to 3 years. 5S, 5 years. iPhone 6, 8 years. iPhone 8, 6.5 years. These batteries are lasting a long time. Said lawsuit comes into play because of the operating system, things like that. Okay. The battery life is slowly going down on those phones, like the actual battery life of the phone itself. Now that the software, there's a kind, if you look at the timeline as to the software thing and the lifespan of the battery, you can see a pretty relative correlation between when they stopped like doing the planned obsolescence on the operating system and when the battery life starts to diminish. Like you can pretty clearly see that. So I hope that is not the case. Because then I feel like that's just gonna be the next lawsuit to happen.
Yeah. What
But
it goes to the point. I mean, at the end of the day, you're probably just better off going and finding a $100, $200 cell phone
mhm.
that does what you need. You know, they all have the same apps, and you know, I don't think there's really anything that much different between these things anymore.
No,
And
just
just
accessory functionality.
yeah, and get one that is unlocked, that you can go from whichever carrier you want to another one, no contract, never,
Mm-hmm.
and just get it for the less expensive. And then if you can't make this big understanding, when you're at home, when you're in how many restaurants they got free Wi-Fi and Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
free internet access in so many places that you don't need to be tied to one of these big long things. I mean, this is falling into this. This is a financial pitfall, folks,
Yeah.
and it's kind of an expensive one. Okay, you're talking in the range of $1,300 a year difference between the $25 and the full load that you talked about, right?
Yeah. $90 a month minimum
Yeah.
service on a cell phone. That's some people's entire light bill.
Insurance, God.
Yeah, right. And then like, I mean, so like 70% of Americans don't have $1,000 in savings. One way to do that and get out of that statistic,
There it is.
not exactly right. I was like, oh, there's your way to get out of that statistic and be that magical 30% that does by just not having a
Yeah.
cell phone contract. Even if you just, you know, doing that one little step, that's going to save you a couple $1,000s in just a couple years. Like, and
That's
penny
it.
saved is a penny earned.
All right, folks. I don't know. I'm getting uncomfortable about this. This is really getting me down. Please don't do this. Let's all make a change. Let's make a pledge. Raise our hands. I pledge allegiance to the cell phone industry of the planet. That I will no longer ever sign a agreement of any length. I will never buy insurance of any kind. Never. And I'm never going to pay more than $200 more for a phone. And
No.
Cullen is going to turn around and sell his. Somebody wants to buy an iPhone. Got one for sale. It's unlocked.
What iPhone do you have?
Whatever, I don't know, something Pro.
I was gonna say, depending on your year.
It's like 2-3 years old.
I was gonna say, yeah, if you've got at least the battery life is lasting pretty good on those. It's surprising that the battery life on some of them, the minimum is 7 months. And I'm like, bro, if I paid $1,000 for a cell phone and only got 6 months out of the battery, I'd be like Mad Max, like going up to the Apple store, like.
And then the other thing with this, the iPhone takes like somebody knows what they're doing to even go in and change a battery or to work on the thing or do anything at all. Where the Androids that I had and the one that I got right here on my desk that I still keep here, it has the little SIM card. You pop the back off. You can pop the battery right out, reboot it, go get a different one if you need to.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That's a wrap, folks. Everybody have a great day. Take the cell phone pledge, please, please. We all can do better, and we can all put a lot more money in that. We get out of the statistic of less than 100 or less than whatever. 70% of Americans have $1,000. There's solution number one of many to get us there. And like you see, nobody's walking around going, Wendy, I love your iPhone. Ooh, do you have a Cricket account? No. Doesn't happen.
No. And if it does, you need different friends.
Yeah, it doesn't make me any prettier and it doesn't help me lose weight. Although there are apps on phones that will help you do both of those things. And they're available on any type of smartphone. Okay. Thank you, everybody. See you again next episode. And hope you reach your goals.
Absolutely. All right. And thank you again so much for joining us today at Rental Karma's On Air. So thank you so much. We'll release a new episode each week. Check it out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, just pretty much wherever you watch and listen. Join us next week, and we hope to see y'all next time. Bye-bye.